All right, tomorrow, an epic day for your Pratte Pack. We've got a busy day ahead of us. You'll be finding out where we are sooner than later, so make sure that you stay close to this incredible page. It is my Facebook page enjoyed by thousands around the globe, literally, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. So, I'm going back to school tomorrow, where I graduated 50 years ago this spring. And I like to do things that connect people, you know, and really make them feel as though they're not the only one on this journey. I've been pondering this for the last couple of days. You know how you have those just moments when you're driving or you're at home just trying to get your day started or at the end of a long day? And I kept thinking 2024, and I realized it was the fall of 1974 when I began my senior year. And listen, I was an awkward teenager, nothing to write home about, not even in some cases a decent student, but I got it done. But great members of that class, obviously many I'm still friends with, and sadly, as life is, some no longer here. But where did the time go? You know, I mean, I know everybody has said that in their life. I can remember my parents talking about it when it was their 50th reunion. But it's really kind of hard to believe a half a century. And I think the gifts that I should be thankful for, that I'm still upright and I'm still able to do what I do, and even though I need to slow down a little bit, it is what it is. I've always been full throttle. And I think when I graduated from New Brighton, it was give me that diploma and I want to take the biggest bite out of every opportunity that I was going to be able to get. You know, I ended up in the service industry as a waiter, busboy, maitre d', broadcasting school, went there, got out, started in some very small radio stations, and as fate would have it, I hit a home run and went to work at KDK Radio, which is the major leagues. I mean, let's face it, growing up, if you were a baseball player, you wanted to play for the Pirates. If you were a football player, you wanted to play for the Steelers. If you were a broadcaster, you wanted to work at KDK Radio. So I've been very lucky. But it's come at a cost, a lot of work, a lot of missed opportunities with a family that I will always regret, but it was about putting food on the table. But it really began because of my time at New Brighton High School. And everybody has a teacher in their life that has made a difference in their life, right? And you hear me talk about public education and teachers all the time and how significant they are. I may not have book smarts, but I understand street smarts and people that kick and scratch and claw every day to make it work. And let's face it, being a teacher in today's environment, it can be tough at times. But there are incredible teachers every day making a difference. So I thought, what better place than to go to New Brighton High School? And I had a really nice conversation today with Ryan Yates, who is the high school principal. He's been there for 10 years. He's from Lower Borough, went to Edinburgh, which is now Penn West. And just a really intriguing young man that I'm anticipating spending time with him. And we were so excited because those New Brighton Lions, under the direction of first-year head coach Johnny McCouga, have that big one against Shenango Saturday at Summit Academy, so hopefully the Lions will roar again. But New Brighton has always been much more than just athletics, okay? I graduated with some highly intelligent young people at the time who've gone on to do incredible things in the world of technology and business, and people that I look up to and still think about often to this day. They say you can never go back, and that's probably a fact. But I think you're going to enjoy this tomorrow because I'm going to show you what all of you would like to see, because we may be from different school districts and different communities and different backgrounds, but we're all the same. Whether you've been out for 25 years or 50 years, you do look back at your life often. And I can't tell you how many times I look back to my life at New Brighton in that school district. Let me tell you how unique this is. And I was telling Mr. Yates this. If I'm not mistaken, and anybody out there who knows me can correct me, we were the second graduating class there, I think. My sophomore year, I went to the long-standing New Brighton High School, the Dawes Gym, which literally looked like a castle. It was amazing. It was right next to the library, outside of the regular school, and it was a Gothic gymnasium. And to this day, I don't know if I've ever been, and I did play-by-play for decades, I don't think I've ever been in a more historic gymnasium. And back in the day, the seats were circular and the court was like down on the floor with everybody with that bird's eye view looking down. It was a mythical place. It was awesome. And it was a traditional school. High school, right? Brick and mortar. They all looked the same. The blackboards, the desks, the hallways, the wooden staircases, they all looked the same. But we went from there to really the Starship Enterprise. My junior year, it was the first year of New Brighton High School. They had the open modular classes. I don't know if any of you remember that, with just morticians. We had a thing called, you got a hall pass, study period, that you could actually roam the halls. Library, that was awesome. I've never really been much of a reader. I read in small bursts. For me to read a book, you know it must be something I'm interested in, right? But I do a lot of reading. But I've always been fascinated by libraries. I think they're one of the greatest gifts ever. And if you're a librarian, you're worth your weight in gold as far as I'm concerned, or any teacher. I've always admired people that get their degree, get their education, and become an educator. I don't know why, because I was not the best student. But that school was so awesome up on the hill back in the day, and it still has withstood the test of time. That sunrise pool was such a gift for those of us who grew up in New Brighton, still is to this day. And recently we lost my dear friend Mitch Yannon, who ran that pool forever. And I can't tell you the conversations that we had about life, about sports. I loved Sunrise Pool. And the gymnasium and that trophy case with so many incredible memories behind glass. But it was the classrooms. It was having a locker. I mean, think about it. For we baby boomers to get your own locker, that was like awesome back in the day. You know, I wonder if it'll still smell the same. I wonder if it'll still look the same. I was telling Mr. Yates, I really had a sports crew up here for our FM station. I was kind of like the sports director in Ohio, and we brought the station, which was then WELA in Western Pennsylvania, to do a lot of football and basketball up here. And I had a crew doing those games because I was doing games in Ohio, the other radio station. So I've really only been to New Brighton, the football field more so than not, but actually in the high school, once that I can think of, to do a video with the former basketball coach, my good friend Bill Mahan. I mean that's about it. And then the gymnasium. This will be the first time back in the hallways of New Brighton High School in decades. And I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you'll join me, especially you New Brighton alumni. You know, you can take the kid out of New Brighton, but you can't take New Brighton out of the kid. I still drive through that community on a regular basis, and I miss my time in New Brighton in more ways than you can ever imagine. But it is what it is. But New Brighton to me was always sanctuary, right? It's just a place to go because the people you knew had your back. And that school, I look back about how so fortunate, because I really wasn't a very good student. I was always wondering what life was like on the outside. I was an entertainer. I loved to do impressions and make people laugh. I just wanted out. I wanted to go and, you know, find my fame and fortune. But my senior year, my mother, God rest her soul, kind of told me, you better make the most of it, because there's no turning back. And I don't know, it was like some light switch went off or something, but I really got engaged in school, and I loved school. And I remember we had a little after party for the senior class at a little place down at Brady's Run called Woody's. And I was sad that it was over. I remember sitting in my house calling some of my classmates, and I was really sad that it was over. So I guess my message to those of you who are going to be 50 years from now remembering the class of 2025, make the most out of your time in high school and in school. But I do have to take a little bit of time to thank some of those teachers, some here, some are not here. But so many of them were game changers for me. Ms. Sigworth, my chemistry teacher, Ms. Cooper, my world cultures teacher. I don't even know if they have these classes anymore. Mr. Zabo, who tried to teach me algebra. Oh, that was like a bull in a china shop. That was terrible. Mrs. Goodman, my Spanish teacher. She was young. She made me smile. She helped me learn. I'm grateful. I mean, it just goes on and on. Mr. Hansen, business math. It took a while, but I did figure out how to do some multiplication and divide. But don't, ask me to do it now. Jack Fullen, Mr. Sullivan, Bill Edwards. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But they all really are significant to me, but none more than Mr. Antonini, who's no longer with us. And I drive by his house from time to time, and I miss him. I was going into my senior year, and I had no clue. And my grades were atrocious, and my SAT score, forget about it. But I liked to entertain. So he was all about broadcasting. And it was because of him. I found the school, I found my interest. He kind of led me in the right direction, and it changed my life. It changed my life. So I'm looking forward to going back tomorrow. And Labor Day is fast approaching, and no one works harder than the great PSEA, one of the most incredible unions anywhere. My friend, Mr. Butch Sanicola, is sadly no longer here. We spent many times on the radio talking about why teachers are so important. And I'm so thankful that Mr. Yates has said, sure, come over, it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Just to, fill that vibe again. It's amazing, but you look at that picture as a sophomore in the yearbook, right? And I remember my sophomore year. I mean, going to a high school was a big deal back then. I mean, you got to realize, I grew up in a town with a population of 8,000. I went to a nice little elementary school. One was a 2-room schoolhouse, literally a half a block from where I grew up. The other was maybe a mile from where I grew up. And then, after 6th grade, I went to the junior high, which was cool because it was coming of age and it was dances and it was meeting kids from other parts of New Brighton, which was awesome. People that are my lifelong friends to this day. And that 7th grade year was tremendous with some of those friends of mine that I think about often. But 10th grade was a big deal. And you thought you were a big deal. And I don't even know where my yearbooks are. I do keep everything, but I went through a period where, you're going too fast for your own good and you lose sight of things. And I can still remember certain people saying, you're going to want to hang on to this stuff. You don't realize it then. But I took that sophomore picture in front of this massive oak tree, the old New Brighton.